Welcome everyone. I'm Sam Maggi, culinary mentor and chef with Basics Market. Today we're going to prepare some easy and delicious summer salads featuring noodles. All the recipes are on our website. If you have any questions as we go along, just type them into your Q&A box. All right, let's get started. To start out, we're going to look at the noodles we're cooking with today. We're going to do 2 noodle salads. And the neat thing about these salads is, although they're different and they're utilizing 2 different noodles, a lot of the ingredients are shared. So really you can kind of do a shop and then try out both of these salads. And they're both unique and delicious. So the first noodle we're going to be using with this class is the udon noodle. And so these are a wheat noodle, and they're a very simple Japanese noodle, really just wheat and water and salt. And the shape of the udon, you can get a wide udon, a large round, or just a round. And these are just your standard round udon that I'm using for this salad today. And so with these udon noodles, they cook in about 7 minutes. Just boil up some water, a little bit of salt, and 7 to 8, I mean, anywhere, depending upon the noodle brand, like this particular brand cooked up for 7 minutes for me. Our recipe calls for 8 minutes, so you really want to start checking them at 5 minutes and tasting them and getting them just so. And with this sort of cold noodle salads, you actually want them a little al dente, right? Just a little bit bitey so that they'll hold up as you chill them and then put them into the salad. So you want it to go more towards firm than really soft. The other noodle we're using today is the rice noodle. And this is a noodle that's utilized in many parts of the world. It's used for pad thai, is the Thai style, and in Thailand it's called sammi. And then Indonesia uses these noodles in pancit, is the name of the noodle, I believe, in Indonesia, and the name of the great noodle dish. Pho is something that these noodles are also found in Vietnam. And in China, they're called mai fun. But it's just, these noodles are just made of rice and water and rice. They use rice flour and then make this great noodle. And it's very versatile and also gluten-free, which is handy. So those are our 2 noodles we're featuring in these 2 salads. The first salad is the sesame noodle salad with a teriyaki style chicken. So one great thing about these salads, right, we're getting into kind of picnicky season and stuff, and these are good salads to either take on a picnic or take to work. And you can do a lot of the prep ahead of time, and because they are cold salads, so you can do it kind of in parts. If you don't have a big hunk of time to cook, you can do a little bit at a time and then put it all together and take it from there. So we want to get the chicken going first with this sesame noodle salad. So we're going to make a marinade, and this is a marinade dressing. So this is really cool because you're going to get your marinade and your dressing all at one time. So what we're going to do is put this marinade dressing together and then use half of it for the marinating the chicken thigh. We're using boneless, skinless chicken thigh here. And then the other half we're going to dress the salad with. So for the marinade, we're going to go ahead and whisk together tamari. So I'm using tamari. If you have soy sauce, liquid aminos, cocoa aminos, anything like that will work. I really like the flavor of tamari, and also it's gluten-free because it's just soybeans. So regular soy sauce can have some wheat in it as well. So there's our tamari. And then we've got some rice vinegar here, and I'm using unseasoned rice vinegar. There's often you'll see seasoned rice vinegar, unseasoned rice vinegar. The seasoned rice vinegar will have sugar and salt in it, perhaps. I like the unseasoned just because then I can be in charge of my sugars and salts and so forth. And then 2 teaspoons of sugar, speaking of sugar, so there goes our sugar. And now we're going to whisk this stuff together. And then we're going to slowly add the sesame oil. So I have a 1/4 cup of sesame oil here, and I'm just going to whisk that in. And we're looking for an emulsification a little bit here, just like you would with any kind of vinaigrette type deal. Whisking the oil into the vinegar, and it will thicken up a tad and get nice for coating the noodles and for marinating our chicken. So I'm going to go ahead and take out a 1/4 cup of this dressing marinade and reserve it for the dressing. So there's a 1/4 cup there. And then I'm just going to go ahead and pop this chicken into the same bowl here. Now with chicken thighs, let's look at the chicken thighs real quick. So when you get your boneless, skinless chicken thighs, well, this one's really nice and clean. You can trim off the fat a little bit though. So sometimes there's a little bit of fat, and you can leave it on or trim it off. It can sometimes get a little chewy, but also it adds nice flavor. Chicken thighs are really nice and rich compared to say like a chicken breast, which is leaner. But you can of course substitute different pieces of chicken in this recipe. Chicken thigh tends to have that really nice rich flavor and holds up well to grilling and so forth. Speaking of which, I have this little grill deal here, so I'm going to get that going, and I'll pop these on there in a minute.
So we did have a quick question, Chef Sam.
Yeah.
Kay would like to know, is it okay to use a toasted sesame oil?
Oh, sure. Yeah, toasted sesame oil is fine. You know, it's really what any sort of sesame oil you have will work. And often sesame oils are toasted, and that's a nice, really nice flavor. So yeah, I'd say you're in good shape with the toasted. Okay, so those chicken, you want these to marinate for at least a half an hour, which isn't a really long marination, but it will add some good flavor. And you could go as long as overnight, really. So, I mean, that could be your first step. You know, one day you throw the chicken in a marinade and then pick it up the next day and grill it off or whatever. But that's our first step. So we're going to let those marinate a little bit. I'm not going to let them marinate half an hour. And but I have some that I've already worked with, so spoiler alert. But let's get into the rest of this salad, and then we'll kind of talk. We'll you know, do a little bit of grilling stuff, and then put it all together. So here's those noodles. So again, the noodles I simply boiled, and then you want to strain them out, run them under cold water in a colander, and get them all nice and cool. And then you go ahead and you're going to add a teaspoon of sesame oil and just toss the noodles, coat them, and then chill them. And that's it. If you may find that if they're in the fridge for a while, they might want to stick together a little again. So you can simply add a little more oil and loosen them up so they're separate once again. So we'll just go ahead and we'll put the noodles in a big bowl, and here's a nice large bowl here. So we'll throw our noodles in there. And then we're going to go ahead and put our dressing over the noodles. So that's that 1/4 cup, the other half of the marinade there. And we want to just coat the noodles with the marinade. And and then we're going to add our other things here. So I have 2 carrots, which I just grated up, and you know, I just use like a box grater, like a cheese grater, and grate these deals up here. So that's that. And then we have our 1/2 a bunch of cilantro. I just chop that up and throw that in there. And then we have 3 scallions, which scallions are simply green onions. And I think in one of these recipes, we call them green onions, and one we call them scallions. But it depends, you know, on your mood. You call them what you want. Often in Asian recipes, they're called scallions, but same plant. So there those go, the scallions. And then we have some toasted sesame seeds. So here's some, the toasted sesame seeds would complement your toasted sesame oil. And this is 1½ tablespoons of toasted sesame seeds. And those just go right on there. So I'm just going to toss all this stuff together. And you just want to get all those things worked in. And yeah, you can see this is a really, as promised, an easy noodle salad. And so the chicken, you know, let's get into the chicken a little bit here, cook it anyway. You can grill it, or you can pop it in the oven on a sheet pan, or both, which is my preferred method with chicken on the grill. I like to grill it a bit and then finish it in the oven. So you can get all the nice char and grill marks and flavor from the grill, but you can have the efficiency of finishing it in the oven. You make sure that it's cooked evenly and all that. If you have that capability, it's nice. Of course, you can do it on the grill all the way through. Is really great in the summertime, right, if you're grilling. Now, what I like to do is you'll see I have a little bit of the marinade left in the bowl here. You just go ahead and put that over the chicken while it's cooking a little bit here and there to keep it lubricated and get all that flavor in there. So yeah, you can see we've already got some pretty bodacious grill marks going on. Yeah, so that's that. So you want chicken to go to 165 degrees internal temperature. And for that, you would like a thermometer such as this. This is a probe thermometer. These are real handy. This is a digital one, which I really like. And you can pick these up very affordably. But they really help with cooking meat and getting it just in the right spot. So we'll cook these till they get to 165 degrees. And at that point, they will look something like this. And as I mentioned, I grilled some off and then I threw them on a sheet pan, put them in the oven at like 350 degrees for about, I want to say 10 minutes or so. And then they were 165 inside. And put a little more marinade on our chicken here and let it finish.
Chef Sam, we had a question.
Yeah.
Joan would like to know if there's something she could substitute for the cilantro.
Yeah. You know, if you, yeah, so I know that some people don't like cilantro or actually have like a flavor thing with it where it tastes like soap, and maybe you're one of those people, or maybe you just don't like cilantro. You could, well, one thing is you could up your green onion a little bit. Really, if there's other greens you like, it might be nice in here, like some thinly sliced spinach, maybe. Yeah, I mean, Italian parsley kind of, I mean, for me, it kind of gets in for me, that's a conflict of flavor, but it would look the same. And it actually probably would taste good, but I'm trying to, mint. I've been on a mint kick lately. For the kitchen here, I just bought some mint dishwasher soap because I was like, oh, it'll smell like mint. But mint actually would be pretty interesting in here. Shiso leaves, but yeah, whatever you like, really. I think, and that's not cilantro. But I think some greens like cut up thinly would work nice here if you're avoiding cilantro. Okay, so let's see what we got. Let's slice up some chicken and kind of.
We did have a couple of other
Plate this up.
suggestions, Chef Sam.
Oh, good, yes.
Alice asked, what about cucumber or celery? And Susan was asking about Thai basil, maybe.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, great ideas. Yeah, cucumber would be lovely. And all this stuff you could also put in addition to cilantro if you're doing cilantro. This is really a simple formula on this guy. And yeah, you could add all kinds of stuff, but basil is a great suggestion, which, yeah, and especially like a Thai basil would be really interesting. Yeah, good. Thank you. That's a great suggestion. Geez, sorry, I forgot a knife. So to slice up the chicken, you're just going to kind of want to go across it, and you can slice it up thinly, or you could chunk it up if it's more manageable for eating. But whatever the case, cut it up, and we can toss all the chicken in there, or you could put it in individual plates, which I'm doing here, and then I'd put 1 thigh for each serving. So let's just see what that looks like for fun.
So Chef Sam,
yes,
just wanted to clarify the marinade. You would take your marinade out that you're using for the dressing. You would never reuse the marinade that the chicken is in.
Right, yeah, please do not use the marinade that you had your raw chicken in for your salad. Anytime you're working with chicken, you want to be aware of salmonella, and so you just want to keep surfaces really clean. You want, with the raw chicken, you want to not cross-contaminate. So what I did is I took that half of the marinade out and put it in a separate jar, made sure I knew that was there. And then the marinade itself, you saw I used to glaze the chicken while it cooks. And that works out pretty nicely. So there it is, some lovely summer noodle salad ready to go. And, picnic or whatever you enjoy, work lunch. This will hold up for you for several days in the fridge. So it's kind of a nice thing you can do ahead.
Oh, we had a question.
With you.
Oh, sorry, Chef Sam. We had a question from Sonia. Did you oil, or do you recommend oiling an indoor grill pan, or do you just put the chicken on there without any oil?
Um, oh, I can't hear over the sizzling chicken. It's really going. I didn't oil that pan, but like with a grill pan like that, a cast iron pan, I keep it pretty well seasoned. So that um, that's where I'm at with that. But yeah, if you want to oil your grill a little bit, it's often if it needs it, spray a little oil, wipe a little oil on there. You don't need a whole lot because you've got a pretty good amount of oil in that marinade. So really that helps it from sticking. And that's a great question because I actually, when I grilled this chicken, I thought about that and I didn't oil the pan and I was actually on a flame grill. And I was thinking, ooh, will this stick? But no, it didn't stick. So, maybe you don't need any oil there. Okay, so there's that salad. And, again, you could chop up this chicken and mix it in with the noodles and then it'd be ready to eat. Or I'm just going to kind of hold it like this for now. And then I can do some individual servings. But it's a really pretty little salad.
And we've got a great question from Marge,
Yeah.
who would like to know, will the noodles get soggy if it sits in the fridge?
The noodles will hold up, and so both the udon noodles and the rice noodles that we're going to use for this next salad are really sturdy noodles, and that's why they're great for this use, and as well as soup. So like for pho, for example, the rice noodles they hold up, right? And then udon is also a popular soup noodle. So you hear of udon soup, and it's just like ramen soup is based upon the ramen noodle, and udon is its own thing, and so it also is pretty sturdy noodle. So you should be fine, and just making sure not to overcook the noodle, and that's a great tie-in, I think, to our next salad, which is the rice stick or rice noodle salad. And that's these guys. So these are sometimes, you'll find them in the store. They might be labeled pad thai noodles or maybe pho noodles, but same deal. And these you just cook by pouring hot water on them or dunking or dropping them into hot water. And so if it's just, or even warm water, if it's just warm water, it will take longer, like maybe half an hour to 40 minutes, just like warm water, but they will eventually soften. And that's what you're looking for with these guys. You just want them soft, bite into one, make sure that you can chew it nicely. It should be tender, but it should be, again, pretty sturdy. My favorite way to cook these guys is I will boil up a big pot of water and then I'll turn the heat off. I'll drop them in there and then they're done like in 5 minutes or something. So you really do have to watch them because eventually they will get a little too soft, but that's a nice way, to just get them done. And I've noticed with packages of these rice noodles, instructions vary on them. Some say, oh yeah, boil them for 5 minutes or something, or and some say let them sit in warm water for 40 minutes. So really it's up to you and your kind of timing and your equipment and stuff. These kind of noodles I really like for like camping, especially the rice noodles. There's like the thin rice noodles that are kind of like angel hairy kind of deals. And those are great because they're so light. Like if you're backpacking, for example, or even just car camping, they don't take up a lot of space and you can cook them so quickly with a little bit of warm to hot water. They really lend themselves to camping. And so this might be a good, or you could make all this ahead of time and then go camping, and maybe that would be easier, right? But I've had some really nice hiking meals, just like a miso soup and then some rice noodles in it, and it's pretty good. Okay, so here's the rice noodles that I've cooked. And then once again, so into the hot water, for me, it was like 5 minutes because I boiled the water. and then I pulled them out, put them in a colander, drain them in the colander, and then a lot of cold water through there so that they're nicely chilled. And then these tend not to stick together too much if they're not overcooked and you've rinsed them well, got all the rice starch off of them. They should be nice and separate. But once again, you can chill them. And then if they're a little sticky, these I just run under some more cold water and then they will become separate for you again. And from here, you can go soups, you can go salads, you could go stir fries, or like a pad thai is a stir fry utilizing these noodles. So with this salad, we're going to make a peanut sauce, and peanut sauce is just a really wonderful recipe to have in your tool belt of sauces, so to speak, because you can put one together really simply, and it's so versatile, like for roasted vegetables, roasted meats, roasted tofu, noodles, of course. And this is a peanut noodle we're doing here, but you could substitute the peanut butter with any sort of nut butter or seed butter. Even tahini would work. So depending on your preference, you can change it up and it'll change the flavor a little bit, but always in a good way. And so this is a really good base peanut sauce. So I have 6 cloves of garlic, which I've just peeled and I trimmed off the ends. We're just going to put all this stuff in the blender, except I have a 1/4 cup of water. And I'm going to hold off on that because I'm going to blend everything, see where the viscosity is of the sauce, and then I'll add the water to get it to where I want it to coat the noodles. Okay, so there's the garlic is in there. Here's some tamari. And then we're going to go ahead and put the tablespoon of neutral oil. And here I'm using safflower oil, which it's really nice. I've been enjoying safflower oil lately. It's so light and really doesn't carry, neutral oil just means it's not bringing flavors with it. So we also have a sesame oil, which is bringing a definite flavor, and that's our flavoring oil here. So we kind of have a lubricating oil and a flavor oil. And then here's, again, the rice vinegar. So you can see how we're repeating some of these ingredients. So these are all good ingredients to have in your pantry. And here's a nice big whack of ginger root, fresh ginger. So I simply chopped this ginger up. I peeled it, chopped it up, and we'll put that in there. It can just be a rough chop because it's going to get whizzed around in here. Some chili flakes. So this is just red chili flakes. Another great thing to have on hand. And then here is some honey. And this is 1.5 tablespoons of honey. And we'll see, what I did is I coated this little container with a little bit of sesame oil because that helps the honey to slide out without sticking too badly. And I think it actually worked. See? Hey, all clear. So that's a neat trick. When you're working with honey, even like a tablespoon of honey or something, you can coat the inside of your utensil with a little bit of oil, and then it should pop right out. All right, peanut butter. So here this is just some like chunky peanut butter. And peanut butter, I had this giant jar of peanut butter, and I saw this trick on like YouTube the other day where someone just flipped the jar over. All the oil comes to the top of a jar of peanut butter, you just turn it over before you open it, and this, leave the seal on and everything. Turn it over, and then the oil travels up through to the bottom. And so the person I saw, they did it overnight, and I wondered if it would work quicker, and it does. It really only takes like an hour to 2 hours, and this was a giant jar, and all the oil worked up to the bottom, which is now the top. And then when you pop it open, it's super easy to stir, and then you're actually digging down to the oil, and it doesn't fly all over the place. So that's a really neat trick that I had not used before, but I will always do that now. Okay, so we're left here with the 1/4 cup of water. Got all the ingredients in our blender here, and we're going to go ahead and blend this up. Okay, so here we are without any water, and we can kind of see, it's still really thick, and it's a little too thick for coating. And with these noodle salads, you really just want to coat all the noodles with the sauce. And so I am going to add a little water. So to add the water, and when you're doing any sort of like nut butter based sauce, water is just a wonderful ingredient to thin it out. It makes it smoother, and you can really get the viscosity you want. So I'm going to start at a low speed and add a little water, and you really might not need much. All right, so here I've added just about the 1/4 cup, and I think I will use the whole deal here. Okay, so there we go, and that's it's a thick sauce. We could even maybe add a little more water, but I think we're in good shape. So at this point, you can be the judge. Take it to where you think it'll work best for your noodle salad. As use your noodle, as they say. Okay, so let us continue with into the rest of this recipe. We're going to go ahead and get the rest of the ingredients. And so we have our noodles here, and now here's the rest of the stuff. All right, so here we have carrots. Well, let's go down in the line of the recipe, right? Here's 2 tablespoons of sesame seeds. Here's the cup of cabbage, which I just shredded, so I cut it really thin across. Some nice red pepper. This is 1 red pepper that I sliced up thinly here. Here's 1 carrot, 4 green onions or 4 scallions chopped up. And then we have a 1/4 cup of just rough chopped cilantro here. And then I'm using peanuts. So I have just some dry roasted peanuts. And then edamame. So edamame is a soybean, and you can find these frozen in the market. Is a great way to get. They're already they're shelled and ready to go. Except you do have to blanch them. So what you do is heat up some water in a pot, boil it, throw the edamame in there for about 5 minutes, then drain them, and once again run under cold water till they're chilled. And then they're ready to go. And they're very delicious, a lot like a lima bean, which, that could be a substitution here. If you have some lima beans hanging around, they're super yummy, and they have a great kind of chewy aspect to them. So let's go ahead and have a look at this. So originally, and still, this is a what we call a mason jar recipe. So this is designed for taking on the go. So you can put the salad into a mason jar, and you could do this recipe will make 4 pint mason jars. So that's a 2 cup, 16 or 16 ounce mason jar. And then, you got your lid. And so this is a real handy little container for on the go. Now, of course, you can also just build it in a bowl and eat it, or you can do both. And so like with the 4 servings, I could maybe make one and eat it as I'm made the same time I make it, and then make 3 jars for future use. So let's go ahead, and one thing with the peanut sauce is it will hold well for you in the refrigerator if you want, if you're not going to use it all at once. So a mason jar is a great way to keep a sauce like this if you're not going to be using it all at one time. So I'm going to go ahead and put this peanut sauce in a mason jar.
And Chef Sam, we have a question about
Yeah.
how long will the finished salad in the mason jar last in the fridge? Judy would like to know.
Yeah, so these last like up to 4 days. You're good on this thing, salad. I should call it by its name. It's a salad. So yeah, you're good for 4 days in refrigerated. Okay, so as I mentioned, this will make 4 mason jars worth, and for this demo, I think I'd like to do 1 in a bowl and then 1 in a mason jar. So I'm going to go ahead and put 2 tablespoons of peanut sauce into the bottom of the jar and the bowl. You can do 1 or 2 tablespoons, or you could do 3 tablespoons. Maybe you want a lot of sauce, but you want to, there should be plenty to have more than enough. So there's the 2 tablespoons in each one. And now we're going to go ahead and put the noodles in. And so I'm just going to put, say a quarter of the noodles in the jar. And put this in a little better view. And then a quarter noodles in the bowl. Now, what would happen, one thing with the jar, you can, of course, try to eat it right out of the jar, which, could be challenging. And if you do that, you'd want to toss your salad before you put it in the jar. But what we suggest is with this mason jar, it's kind of like you pack it here and then you decant it into a bowl or something when you get to your location, and then eat it like that. And you can kind of stir all the sauce in and so forth when you're ready to go. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put all this other stuff, about a quarter of everything on everything. Yes.
And while you're doing that, Chef Sam, Rosabelle, welcome back. Would like to know how long will the peanut sauce alone keep? Will it keep longer if you keep it separately in the fridge?
Yeah, this peanut sauce, it should last a long time, right? You think how long, think about the ingredients in it. So really, the garlic is the only real fresh ingredient in there. And then you have some vinegar, which helps preserve that stuff. So, I mean, I'm comfortable saying a week for sure. And, and then beyond that a little bit, but I'd say, 7 days for sure. Good. And hopefully it's so delicious that you would eat it well before that, right? And this stuff, it's all so beautiful, isn't it? So we'll put some quarter of our peppers and in the jar as well. And then we've got our cabbage. And then some carrots. This is the shredded carrot. And then we're going to go scallions. And now and then, we did edamame. And then to finish, we can put our cilantro or whatever, and again, you can substitute basil here. It'd be really good. The Thai basil idea was great, or mint. Here's some peanuts in there.
And Mita has a great suggestion. She said she usually places all the ingredients in a big bowl and the sauce in a jar. And then I guess everybody puts whatever amount they want in their own bowl and then adds the peanut sauce.
That's a really good idea. Yeah, that works great. And then everyone can kind of add what they like. So here's kind of like the jar idea. And so, you pour that into your bowl and then you've got a nice little lunch or meal, whatever it might be. And then here's my bowl to eat. And so I'm just going to toss this one together, get the peanut sauce all throughout. And yeah, this would definitely be a welcome summer picnic item. And, and of course you could just, throw all this stuff in a big bowl and, take it to a event and share it. And that would be fun too. But I like that idea of holding the sauce back. I think it would hold up better if there's any sort of time involved between taking it and eating it, right? So let's have a taste, perhaps. Let me try this one. See what I've done here. Woo! So this has really good flavor. It has a little bit of heat with the chili flakes in there, and so if you don't want, if you're not into the spice, you can tone down the chili flakes, but I think it's really nice. And, convenient packed here in the mason or right there in the bowl. And then, yes.
I just wanted to add one little question. Anthony was asking, could you use orzo instead of the noodles?
Oh, that would be interesting. Yeah, orzo, is a pasta, basically a wheat base, and you could, and that would be interesting and tasty, I'm sure. Again, you just want to make sure not to overcook your orzo so it doesn't get real sticky and it stays separate, because orzo can tend to get a little clumpy. But yeah, that would work. I think really with either of these salads, you could substitute other noodles, but we're using these noodles because they do hold up so well in this situation and this application, I should say. Yeah.
And we had a quick question from Rosabelle on the yield of the peanut sauce. How much does that make altogether?
Great question. Well, let's see. So I took 4 tablespoons out, and it looks, this is a pint jar, and I like using these for measuring, especially when they have the little lines. Sometimes they're really fun to measure in. But looks like we have about a cup left, so I think what it yields a little over a cup. So I would almost, I mean, we can, let's just for fun check it out, because I bet it equals a cup and 4 tablespoons exactly, maybe, which is like, what, a cup and a quarter, 1 1/4 cups. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so here we go. It's a cup, about a 1 1/4 cups of sauce. And it's really a good sauce. You know, and like I said, just having that idea of blending up a peanut sauce like that, you can really go in many directions. If you add some cilantro to that, if you like cilantro, or basil for that matter, then takes it in a little other direction, and makes it really pretty and green. So that's a thought of a peanut sauce like that. All right, I think that kind of wraps it up for this session. I look forward to eating these salads in the hot days to come, and I hope you will do the same. Thanks for joining us. If you have additional questions or comments, please email us at letscook@basicsmarket.com. And please visit our markets. We look forward to seeing you in any of our markets. And we have locations listed on our website at basicsmarket.com. Also, we have recordings of previous classes like this, many recipes, and some how-to videos as well, all available on our website, basicsmarket.com. And when you're in the markets, look for our recipe walls. We do really pretty recipe cards. We have this one in the markets right now, and those are free and available just to grab. There's a recipe wall somewhere in the market, and feel free to grab some of those recipes, and keep cooking. And while you're cooking, be happy, and happy cooking.